Let's get to the real estate market now, because existing home sales falling last month by the most in 3 years, thanks to high mortgage rates and high prices. Let's get more insight into the real estate market with Bess Freedman. She is Brown Harris Stevens CEO. Brown Harris Stevens is a luxury real estate brokerage in the New York metro area and South Florida. Bess, great to see you again.
Great to see you guys. Good morning.
I'm going to start with a personal story because I just signed another 12-month lease, this time across the river in Hoboken, but basically because it feels like there's nothing to buy out there. You look at the market, it just feels totally frozen, and I wonder how many people like me there are out there right now.
I think there are a lot of people that are like you, and good for you for signing a new lease.
Thank you.
There is immense uncertainty, and that's sort of rocking the housing market. You can see it in the numbers. I see it with stories from agents where sellers are holding off listing their homes, buyers are waiting to buy. Uncertainty is not a friend of the housing market or any markets, and I think right now all this back and forth is making people feel like they're on this flight with enormous turbulence, and we don't know where we're going. And one day it's this, one day it's that, and it's just not helpful.
How much of this is mortgage rates? Because I know, especially, Katie's generation looks at these mortgage rates and cannot believe how high they are.
I mean, listen, last year, we're hovering around 7%, a little under for the 30-year. Last year was back and forth similar to this. But last year, a year ago, consumer confidence was at almost 80%. Today, it's at 50%. And it keeps going down. So forgetting about rates, people aren't feeling good about anything right now. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's happening with tariffs. They don't know what's going on globally. So people aren't going to make the biggest investment in their life right now, unless it's discretionary. That's different. But overall, the housing market has had its challenges. It's not affordable for first-time home buyers. And rates are now almost taking the back seat. We have, inflation. We don't know what's going on. What is moving is new construction, because people can go in and buy right away. Things that need renovation are going to take longer, especially because now supplies are going to be more expensive with the tariffs.
Yeah.
So, it's like we're not getting a break. I thought 2025 was going to be where we came alive and things got better, but it seems like we're almost on pause, which is not a good thing.
Steel, aluminum, lumber, renovation certainly sounds unpalatable right now. Speaking for myself, and also speaking for myself, part of the calculus in signing a 12-month lease was that maybe things will be better in a year. Was that a dumb decision? Can you help me?
No, I think you made a really smart choice, because renting gives you the time to think about and look at the environment and make good decisions. And while you're in your new apartment or you extended your lease, you can look around. And if you see an opportunity, you can always move on it. But it gives you options, and I think people are feeling a little bit uncertain right now. And it's okay, to wait it out. And the rental market is super strong, and it's going to continue to be that way, because people don't want to commit to something in the environment where rates are higher, inflation, what's going on with these tariffs, are we in a war? People are just feeling it everywhere. And, the brand of America, this sort of place, beacon of hope, of where people really trusted America, we're starting to see that tarnish, and it's just not a great thing for us.
I'm curious how sellers are feeling, because, from the buyer perspective, as you just laid out, things are pretty hairy right now, and it's hard to commit. What about people who are looking to list their homes? Have we seen any pullback there?
Well, I think, so if sellers are thinking about selling, well, the best thing for them to do is get maximum exposure, which is what they want. And, right now there is this new narrative about private. Have you heard about these private portals? Some brokerages. So some brokerages are promoting these private portals where you list your home internally only in that brokerage's site. And I think that is something that sellers need to be very careful of. If you think about aggregators like Zillow, which has 1.4 billion unique visitors a year.
I live on Zillow.
Everybody does, and everybody's thirsty for that live, interactive, important info. But places like companies like Compass, who in a year maybe have 20 million visitors, you want your home not just on one firm, you want it everywhere. And I think sellers need to be very careful about this sort of marketing pitch about putting your home in a private network. You want to give it maximum exposure to get true price discovery. Don't get tricked or hoodwinked by this sort of marketing pitch to keep listings internal. That's my strong opinion, and I think it's important.
I got a couple of questions about, first, construction. I mean, getting, as Katie mentions, the lumber, the aluminum, the steel, and the labor. How much more expensive is building a new home now?
It is, I think we're somewhere like 10 to 20% more expensive to do that, the cost, give or take. And for some people, it's just not, it makes no sense. People aren't going to do it. It's going to be pencils down until people have some resolve as to where the prices are going to be.
I also wonder about the salt cap. You know, for 100 years, we had a block against double taxation. There was no salt cap. But then the Republicans put it in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017, really punishing families in New York,
That's
right? A state that gives a lot more to the federal government than it gets, as opposed to other states. Is that continuing to push people out of New York and into Florida? You're in a unique position because you have these two.
Both places. I mean, we've seen back and forth. We saw a mass, like, migration, people moving to Florida, but then people coming back. So I think there's always going to be people who want to go. For example, Palm Beach has been a hot spot where people have just rushed to businesses. People want to be a part of that. So many New Yorkers are now in Palm Beach. But SALT, it expires, I believe.
If they don't renew the TCJA.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a factor that people are considering. But I think New York is always the talent capital of the world, and people want to be a part of it. So you're going to see people come and go. I don't know how much that really will factor into people's decision making.
All right, New York will never die. Bess,
never.
It's always great to see you.
Thanks, guys.
That is Bess Freedman. She is CEO of Brown Harris Stevens.